There is a marathon debate that has been going on in the Rajya Sabha for nearly 8 hours now on the quota bill, which promises 10% reservations to economically backward people in the general category. This then includes automatically upper caste Hindus, for instance, and people across religions from Muslims, Christians and other religions as well. Now, in that debate that has been taking place in the Rajya Sabha, even though many opposition parties have questioned the timing and even the way this entire quota bill is going to be implemented, the parties like the Congress and the Samajwadi Party and others who are members of the opposition have said that they have no choice but to support it for political reasons. But there are parties like the RJD and the DMK that have opposed it even on the floor of the House. Now, the Prime Minister spoke on the quota bill for the first time today. This was at a rally. This was not in Parliament, where he actually said that he had managed to do this reservation without stealing from the backward caste, from the scheduled castes and scheduled tribes. In the House, though, the Trinamool Congress, for instance, asked why this bill, an important bill like this, was being rammed through the way that it was, while the Congress's Kapil Sibal made an important argument on the 8 lakhs per year ceiling for the quota, saying, then why do people who are earning up to 8 lakhs a year pay income tax? Increase the income tax slab then from 2.5 lakhs to 8 lakhs. Here's a look.
मैं बता देता था कि देखिए 50% के बाहर कोई अगर वादा करता है तो सब बेईमानी करते, ऐसा मैं कहता था, क्योंकि 50% के ऊपर जाना है तो संविधान संशोधन के बिना नहीं जा सकते हो। अगर उसके सिवाय किसी ने वादे किए थे तो कोई दलितों को जो मिला है उसमें चोरी करना चाहता था, कोई आदिवासियों से मिला है उसमें चोरी करना चाहता था। आज प्रधानमंत्री के नाते मैंने उस बात का पालन किया, संविधान संशोधन की दिशा में आगे बढ़े और दलितों से कुछ भी चोरी किए बिना। कुछ लोग ये कहते हैं कि मोदी जी ये चुनाव के समय क्यों लाए? मुझे बताइए, ऐसे कोई 6 महीने हमारे देश में जाते हैं क्या जब कहीं न कहीं चुनाव न हो?
I want to ask this government, what are you doing to this institution of parliament? You are disrespecting it. You are spitting on it. 65 to 70% of bills have been sent for parliamentary scrutiny. Sir, this bill is actually an acknowledgement of guilt. And what is that guilt? We haven't created jobs in the last 4.5 years. So bring the bill. This bill also redefines India's poverty line. So you're bringing this, knowing fully well you cannot implement this.
मैं आग्रह करूंगा सरकार से हमें बताएं कि कोई इस पे रिपोर्ट बनी। 8 लाख का मापदंड आपने कैसे तय किया? एक तरफ तो आप इनकम टैक्स जो है किसी का 1.25 लाख अगर वो कमाता है तो उसको इनकम टैक्स देना पड़ता है, 2.5 इनकम टैक्स देना पड़ता है, और यहां 8 लाख में आप कहते हो कि 8 लाख से जो कम होगा वो गरीबी रेखा में आएगा। तो आप वो भी इनकम टैक्स लिमिट 2.5 से 8 लाख कर दीजिए ना। बिना डेटा कलेक्ट किए हुए ये आप संशोधन लेने जा रहे हैं। एंड रविशंकर जी rightly said, he said, look at this digital revolution that is taking place. Jobs are being created, but more jobs are being lost than created.
So the question really is, what is this quota bill really all about? At the end of the day, why was it brought in suddenly on the very last couple of days of the Parliament session? As I said, the Rajya Sabha still debating it. Was it in a way to deflect from the jobs crisis? Where are the jobs going to come from for all this reservation? Because if you look at the numbers, this effectively means that some 70 to 90% of Indian people are covered by this quota. Who exactly is this quota going to benefit? How is it actually going to work? Yogendra Yadav joining us on the program tonight from Delhi, from the Congress spokesperson Khushbu joining us, Amrendra Sharan, former Additional Solicitor General of India, Dr. Naval Kishore of the RJD is here in the studio with us, and Vivek Reddy of the BJP joining us from Bangalore tonight. Yogendra Yadav, first of all, we have constantly seen this attempt being made to say that this is a wonderful thing because it is a quota that is based on economic backwardness. This is irrespective of caste, religion, etc. But effectively, it actually amounts to a quota for upper caste, doesn't it? Doesn't this actually have the potential to further divide India on caste lines? Because you already have quotas for backward castes and scheduled castes, scheduled tribes. and now you're going to basically effectively have reservations for, among India's upper castes. And in fact, some ministers have said that on record.
I think there's some confusion about it, Nidhi. I don't see this as a quota for upper caste in that sense. At the moment, there are 49% reservation for SC, ST, OBC. 51% seats are open for every category, not just for general, they are open for everyone. So in that one sense, you are right, that this 10% will not be open to everyone. This will not be open to poor SC, not be open to poor ST or to poor OBC. It will be open to poor in the general category. In that sense, you can say that yes, a specific quota is being carved out for the upper caste in a broad sense of the term, which of course includes Muslims, Sikhs, Christians and everyone else who does not benefit from reservation. My real objection is not about that, I must say, because to my mind, if genuine poor were to be given some kind of an additional quota, the fact is that they are poor in the upper caste as well. They are poor among ashrafs of Muslims, poor among the upper sections of Christians. So if there was something of that kind, that would probably be justified in some sense. To my mind, the real problem is the following. I don't see any seriousness behind this exercise. This is, as Mr. Ravi Shankar Prasad has said today, an attempt to score a sixer in the slog overs. He's actually said it. Aur chhakke marenge. So it's one of those pre-election attempt to secure a chhakka. Now whether it actually lands outside the boundary or on the wicket, that's something we have to determine. The reason I don't find it serious is the following. Number one, any proposal for reservation of any kind must be preceded by an assessment to say, okay, here is a category which is seriously underrepresented. So you're saying there's no data.
And it is underrepresented
for the following cause. There is absolutely none. For the last 3 days, I've been asking again and again. I've been hoping. I've been looking at Lok Sabha debate, Rajya Sabha debate. There is none, absolutely none. Number two, the Supreme Court has already very carefully reflected on this question, on precisely this proposal. Of course, this was not a constitutional amendment, but please do remember, nothing in this country prevents the Supreme Court from reviewing a constitutional amendment as well. They have already reflected. They have said this kind of a quota is not permissible in our constitutional scheme of things, not only in one particular article. They have said you cannot exceed 50%. They have said only economy cannot be the basis. So the legalities have not been worked out.
So, there are a lot of unanswered questions, about how exactly this is going to work on the ground. Let me ask Khushbu from the Congress party about the Congress's position on this, because on one hand, you have the Congress making some pretty strong arguments like Mr. Kapil Sibal has in the Rajya Sabha today, about the criteria for this, how this was, achieved at, the timing, etc. And yet the Congress says it's going to support this. If you want to take a principled stand, then why not oppose it?
Nidhi, we have never opposed the upliftment of the people who are on the poverty line. When you talk about EWS, I think what we have been questioning is the timing and where are the data. The question is, the BJP government, our Prime Minister Modi has suddenly woken up to the fact that the upper caste needs a quota. We have been talking about employment. We see India is at the peak of the, in unemployment.
But if you don't have the data, Khushbu, then why does the Congress support a bill that's coming in without hard data?
No, that's okay. In Parliament, it has to come to Rajya Sabha. It has to come to Rajya Sabha. We have been raising questions. One more important thing is we have to see whether it will be passed in the judiciary, because there is a law for 1992 Article 15 and 16 which clearly says that beyond this there cannot be any other quotas. So it has to go there. You're talking about a constitutional amendment. So is there a possibility to that? We cannot say that it is possible, it is not possible. It has to go to the Supreme Court. You cannot overrule the orders of the Supreme Court. So we need to check on that. The questions are valid.
No, I'm asking
we
a
have
different
been asking
thing.
Again,
the point I'm asking about politically, because we have the RJD here.
We are not beyond that.
No. So the RJD, Dr. Naval Kishore today has taken a stand that you don't want this to go through, and you've taken that position on the floor of the House.
And that is precisely on the basis that till now reservation has been given on 2 counts constitutionally, for SC/ST for historical disadvantage reason, and for OBC it is on the basis of socio and educational background. And there have been reports, Kaka Kalalkar committee in OBC, Mandal commission, they have thoroughly studied, and there were 3,000, over more than 3,700 castes, and there was a particular scientific method of studying it. There is a whole report there, and it was on that basis that Mandal commission suggested 54%. Now, when it went to Supreme Court, they said that not beyond 50%. Therefore, the 54% was reduced to 27%, because it was not it should not have gone to after beyond the cap. Now, when you are making a third category of reservation, that is precisely only economic. It is not it should have been other including economic, but it is only on the basis of economic. You don't have any report, you don't have studied anything, you don't have any background, you just want to fool the people, particularly from this common category, that you are making this kind of proposal. So, we do not want to support a unthought bill which is badly drawn. It has whatever you
well, at least the RJD is taking a position and sticking to it.
The saying that 8 lakh per annum itself reflects that they don't have any kind of studies, whereas there is a particular report which is pending, and they have consciously they have kept, they have not publicized, that is socio-economic data. Socio-economic data should have been published, which reflect what is the status of the Indian society.
Fair enough. So, let us ask Vivek Reddy, do you think that this really needed that data to be put forward and you know, debated properly? Then firstly, the way that this bill has been brought, as the Trinamool also pointed out today, literally been rammed through in Parliament.
Well, I think, Nidhi, from what the commentators are saying, it is very clear. Everybody accepts that India has an extreme and distressful situation in poverty. This is a given fact. Yogendra Yadav accepts it, the RJD accepts it, and every other, even the Congress spokesperson also accepts it. Now, when there are acute problems of poverty in a country, and the constitution has been silent on this poverty, economic backwardness, weakness of the vast citizens of India, I think it was high time that after 70 years of this constitution, somebody had brought up this issue of economic poverty, and there was some affirmative action for this economic poverty. Finally, it is the Modi government that has brought about this landmark constitutional amendment. It was long due, if you ask me.
No, but
otherwise,
how is this going to alleviate poverty?
Continue to be blind.
Can I ask you,
to
Mr.
millions
Reddy,
of people, crores of people.
How will this alleviate poverty? Let me just give you Ministry of Finance. 1 second. Tell me how. 1 second. I have Ministry of Finance data in front of me right now. Let's bring that data up. The Ministry of Finance data shows that government jobs, for which you are promising reservations now, that those government jobs have actually been steadily declining since 2012. Every year they have been declining from 37 lakhs plus to just 36 lakhs plus now. There are only 4 lakh vacancies currently in government jobs in the government of India. Again, these are Finance Ministry numbers for 2015-2016. So when you have this big promise of reservations in government jobs and you have only 4 lakh vacancies, what is this promise?
Well, there are 36 lakh jobs, which is substantial in number, though the jobs have reduced by 1 lakh.
There are 4 lakh vacancies, Mr. Reddy, only 4 lakh vacancies.
Second is, what we have to, 4 lakh vacancies, yes, this is as the nation moves on, you know, the vacancies come up and jobs will be filled up. But it is not jobs alone, Nidhi. Apart from jobs, you have educational opportunities that have opened up in private and government institutions. So, when you build the bridges of affirmative action, it is not only jobs that you are looking at. Jobs are one part of it, one dimension.
Mr. Reddy, you are just trying to alleviate poverty.
I just want to
from poverty-ridden families
are
allowed to study. Let me just complete, sir. Let me just complete.
Just if you hear the question, it will be good. Then you can reflect.
Higher and advanced education.
Please just hear me for one.
How do we build these bridges of affirmative action?
Mr. Reddy, you are saying that this is not now about jobs. From poverty alleviation, now it's not about jobs and it's about education. And I'm trying to see what else gets shifted in the goalpost.
Poverty alleviation is won through jobs.
Yeah, but
One
where are
through
your
jobs,
government
which is
jobs?
36 lakhs.
You are promising
And poverty
people
alleviation is
reservation in
also
government
through.
jobs. There are only 4
Also-
lakh vacancies in government jobs. So where are the government jobs?
Correct.
How is
It
this
is
going to
not
work?
only central government jobs, Nidhi.
No, but
It
how
is
is
not only central government jobs.
how is this
These
going?
are
So how many?
jobs
Okay,
under
so
the
how
state
many
governments
vacancies
also.
are there? How
And
many vacancies are
institutions
there in
under
each
the
state?
state government.
Have you got that data?
Well, this could run to no, the number of jobs. If you are asking vacancies, you are asking about this year's vacancies.
Yes.
You're
So,
not asking
tell me
about
last
every
year's
year's vacancies.
Tell me, there must
Vacancies
be some.
not
There
just
must be
4 lakhs
some
alone, permanently.
some thinking that went into getting this
Vacancies
bill.
vary every year.
Why was this bill brought in? What is the data then? What is the basis on
Nothing.
which it was brought in?
It is
No,
on the
what
basis
I am
of
asking
absolute
is,
lies.
why are you looking
that
at
you have
only
brought
the
a bill?
vacancies?
I just
when
asked.
there are
I just
there
want
are
to ask you
vacancies
2
in the state
questions.
governments also.
You do not understand the meaning of reservation. Reservation, as suggested by Constitution, is to address 3 things: empowerment, representation, and bringing people who have been in the backyard to the mainstream. It is not giving job giving criteria. It is not a
Which is
means to
affirmative
give
action.
jobs. Okay. So when you are bringing economic criteria, and if you want to talk in terms of jobs and opportunity, you should better fulfill the promises that you made in 2014. That 2 crores jobs you will give per year. You will give 15 lakhs to everyone.
Well, I'm sorry.
You will bring
You- when
everything.
you look at-
So
one second.
since you have failed
We
in the
have
past
fulfilled
4.5
the
years,
promises of
you want to fool
2014.
the people for once
Can
again.
I come back, sir?
Nothing else.
All right. That's your view.
No,
All
this is
right,
the view
that's
of the
your
country,
view.
and we are
Can I come back
representing.
on this and clarify?
There are
Look here,
sizable
it
number
is
of people
not-
that we represent.
Look
You
here,
know the
one second, sir.
socio-economic
You've had
data.
your- you've had your say.
Socio-economic
It
data
is
which you
not
have not been
jobs
able
alone.
to reflect
For
it
heaven's
now
sake.
will suggest that
Affirmative action,
there are
Mr.
huge
Yogendra
number of
Yadav.
people.
Okay.
It is not jobs alone. Apart from jobs, you create opportunities for education.
No,
You
but there
create
are
reservations
opportunities in
education,
private sector.
in private
Why don't you
schools,
extend
in private
reservation?
colleges,
Why don't you
and
extend
government
reservation
colleges?
for
When
SC,
you
ST,
create
OBC
these
to private sector,
opportunities,
to
it
judiciary,
leads
Okay,
to
then-
no
okay,
jobs
one second.
in private
and
fields.
why
Mr.
are
Reddy,
you
Mr.
saying
Reddy.
now?
Elementary.
Why
I
are
don't
you
know why you
saying
can't
that
understand it.
reservation is compromising
Sir,
of
please.
merit? You
No,
are
no,
questioning
you
reservation
cannot go on
now.
like this.
RSS
It
and
is so
BJP that
elementary.
reservation
How do you
is compromising
empower
merit.
citizens?
And
Okay.
now you are
How do you
are
Now it's
empower
coming.
citizens?
Okay,
Through
okay.
education
You know,
and through jobs.
Amrinder Sharan.
Both these are undertaken through this constitutional
Okay.
amendment. That's
Mr.
the
Reddy,
great
I'm
thing.
just
Now,
coming
because
back
you
to you.
didn't
Give
do
me a
it.
second. Give me a
You
second.
could not do it.
Mr.
It
Shah-
does not mean that BJP
but
has
do
done it.
what?
You have been
Fair.
criticizing it.
But-
the whole of the country know that past 4.5 years, everything
Okay,
you have
you
initiated,
are not understanding the
including
basic
note
logic.
and GST, you
I
have
don't know.
miserably failed.
Okay, one second.
In
Mr. Sharan,
1.1
we, all right, Mr. Reddy,
Assuming you
Mr.
can get
Mr.
a-
Reddy and
you
Mr.
can get
Kishore, give me a
50
second.
lakh-
Okay, Vivek
50
Reddy,
lakh
one second.
educational seats through this.
Mr.
Aren't
Sharan,
they
we
empowered?
all know that in the
Let us ask
past,
this basic
attempts to
question.
introduce quotas, including for economically backward sections by various governments, have been struck down by various courts. It happened with the Narasimha Rao government, it happened in Kerala, it happened with the Jat reservation in Haryana, etc. But when you have a constitutional amendment that comes through Parliament, will that also be open to judicial scrutiny?
Of course, it will be open to judicial scrutiny. But let me tell something more. I have a more fundamental objection to it. The fundamental objection is that reservation is a tool of social upliftment. It is not a poverty alleviation program. It is a empowerment, basically a tool of empowerment. Empowerment of socially disadvantaged people who have been discriminated for thousands of years. Now they get a share in power, share in the administration, and share in the administration. It is not a poverty alleviation program. Poverty alleviation is Manrega. That is not the aim of reservation. That number one. Number two, legally a limitation, reservation of more than 50% is definitely susceptible to challenge. So, to challenge it will be difficult to get it upheld by the judiciary. Thirdly, the other aspect is that in Article 15 and Article 16 there is backwardness, and Article 15 specifically mentions socially and educationally backward classes. So the question of economic backwardness is not there in the Constitution, and a 9-judge bench judgment has already decided that this criteria is not correct, and this has been struck down by the Supreme Court and by the High Court several times. Therefore, it is fraught with large number of constitutional and legal difficulties.
Constitutional and legal difficulties, and that's a view that in fact we hear consistently
that is why
across
the constitutional amendment.
Yeah, but it can also be open to judicial scrutiny is what he's saying. I want to ask Yogendra Yadav then, let's come to the next point. The point that Kapil Sibal raised in the Rajya Sabha, which is about this 8 lakh ceiling. If you have an annual income of under 8 lakh rupees a year, then you qualify, for this economic reservation. Now, he had a point. People are paying income tax at that money every year. You have an income tax slab that's at 2.5 lakhs, then shouldn't that income tax slab go up to 8 lakh rupees? Why 8 lakhs? Is this something also you believe hasn't really been clearly explained why this particular slab has come in? It also effectively means 90%, 70 to 90% of people come under quotas then.
That's precisely, Nidhi, what shows the non-seriousness of intent behind the whole thing. But let me begin with two clarifications. Number one, this point about 8 lakh is still in the domain of publicity and leaking information, etc. This is not a part of the Constitution Amendment Bill. Constitution Amendment Bill says something very, very limited, which is to say, so far reservation was only based on caste and social and educational disadvantages. Let us introduce economic as well. That's all the Constitution Amendment says. It doesn't as yet speak about 8 lakhs or so on. But the intent of the government becomes clear, because even before it started talking of the Constitution Amendment Bill, it is the government which was leaking all this information. 8 lakh, 5-acre limit, etc. What is the whole point? And that shows you the politics of the bill, not so much the constitutionality and the legality. The politics of the bill is this. It is meant to give a signal to Savarn upper caste Hindus. And that's the language ministers are using. That is the language BJP spokespersons are using. That is the language their friendly media is using. It is, although technically it is not meant for only Hindu upper caste.
Exactly.
But that's the message they want to set out to Savarn Hindus. We are your people. Don't worry. We are with you. And in order to give them a sense, because if the Savarn Hindus were to get this message, look, there is this new reservation coming, but it will apply only to people who have up to 1 lakh of income, which would have been a reasonable thing in the Indian context. Then a lot of BJP supporters would say, oh, but what is here for me? Why do I bother?
So I want to ask Mr. Reddy that. Why 8 lakhs?
The whole point of this exercise is not constitutional amendment. The point is not to give anyone jobs. The point is simply to create a little hawa, buzz, jumla. Hum tumhare liye kuch kar rahe hain. Sabko milega, chinta mat karo. That's the whole point. Nothing more than that.
No, I think Mr. Yogendra Yadav is getting very short-sighted here.
But why 8 lakhs?
Yes, I think Mr. Yogendra Yadav is getting very short-sighted here.
And you are so far-sighted that you did not find time in the past 4.5 years.
That there is a necessity.
And in the last moment you want to create this kind of havoc.
That India has economic poverty. So when India has economic poverty, Mr. Yogendra Yadav is large and broad-hearted enough to accept that. That India has a deep crisis in economic poverty. And this crisis has to be addressed. When the government comes and addresses it, Mr. Yogendra Yadav talks about the political aspect, the political color. Well, here is the first government after 70 years of independence that has come out and said, look here, this is a crisis which we need to look at.
But Mr.
and
Reddy,
which we need to address.
Can you explain the logic for why there is this 8 lakh rupees a year as the ceiling when people pay income tax? You know, why isn't the income tax slab then increased to 8 lakhs? Why don't you exempt people from paying income tax from 2.5 to 8 lakhs?
That is for the state government to decide.
It's not, it's for the
local
centre.
State government to decide. There are two things here.
What is the decision?
What is the decision?
These issues have to be decided. It is not engrafted in the constitution. The central government has to decide and the various state governments have to decide. Under the federal structure.
So then why bring in the law in such a haphazard way? Why don't you change the income? You are saying that people who make less than 8 lakhs a year are economically backward, yet you tax people and make them pay income tax from 2.5 lakhs onwards. Why have those people who you say are poor, then why have they not been exempted from paying income tax from 2.5 lakhs onwards? Why is the income tax slab not at 8 lakhs?
You are mistaking a largely benign policy implemented for the betterment of India and progress of the deprived.
I'm asking you logic.
You are mistaking this with the 8 lakhs.
Any ground.
The 8 lakhs is not engrafted in the constitution.
Without any understanding.
So far as the 8 lakhs is concerned, that issue will be dealt with by various governments.
Why?
And
Income tax slabs are not decided by state governments. They're decided in the budget by the centre.
Assuming there is 8 lakhs.
Well, it's
We
not.
don't know.
That was the government release is 8 lakhs.
The government has not yet come out with that notification. This we will know.
How did you come to know?
No, you are
is it
coming to
product of
conclusions without a notification in your hand.
Those who are earning 8 lakhs
Only
per annum
after the constitution is
Can
passed.
I say something here?
One second. Okay. Yogendra Yadav has a quick point. Then
why are you going behind the media and accepting it?
Okay.
The government has to give a final word on it. We cannot jump into conclusions.
I love what Mr. Reddy is saying. And this is a new twist in the game. Now BJP is telling us, where did you get this fig? Sir,
we got it from the government of India.
Please say
you have given us.
This is lovely twist now. Lovely twist. I love it. Now the BJP is telling us,
until and unless
where
there
did
is
you
a
get this 8 lakh
notification to
figure?
that effect.
Sir, let me tell you where did I get
you know.
it from. Sir, please allow me to
cannot be
speak.
decided.
This is not good manners, sir. Please allow me to speak. Sir, allow me to speak, sir.
Please go ahead.
Yeah. The question is, where did we get this 8 lakh figure?
Go ahead,
The
Mr.
answer, sir, is Haryana BJP has issued posters. It is all over the media, sir. Haryana BJP is saying 8 lakh rupees. So this 8 lakh rupees is not a figment of my imagination. It is not a figment of some media person's imagination. This is your publicity. You are saying it. And for
Haryana
that 8 lakh
BJP
figure,
posters are not the
remember,
government decisions.
Only 2 or 3%. Please, sir, don't interrupt. This is just not nice. Only 3 to 4% people pay income tax in this country. Of those 3 to 4%, 2/3 are below this 8 lakh limit. So, which is to say, only 1 or 1.5% of Indian population is above 8 lakh. There is a limit of 5 acres of land. 86% of Indian landowners own less land than that. So, the simple point is, this is not the poor. This is someone who has 5 acres of land, someone who has 8 lakh of income is not poor by any stretch of imagination, sir.
I just want to get Khushbu in on this.
Don't tell me there is poverty.
Exactly
Mr. Yadav is generous to admit, sir. I don't have to be generous to admit it.
That part,
who is this poor?
The opposition is also so scared to take a stand, Khushbu, a principled stand, that you're also scared in election year to say this is a bad bill. This is a bad bill. Please explain what the data is, etc. before we go through with it.
No, this is what the BJP is trying to see. People who oppose it or who raise questions, they're immediately termed or labeled as people who are against the poor or against the upper caste. Now, this is the trick what BJP has been trying to play, and this is what we saw even Smriti Irani, screaming at the top of her voice that, okay, then say that you are against the upper caste. They are playing in a complete caste gimmick here. This is nothing. This bill, what they're talking about is nothing. They're waking up after 4.5 hours. If they were really concerned about the people who are economically weak, then they should have thought about it before bringing in the GST or before bringing in a demonetization. 2 crore people lost their jobs because of demonetization. Last year alone, in 2018, the CMIE report says that 1 crore 10 lakh people have lost their jobs. So how are they going to recoup them? How are they going to give the jobs back to them? And if my friend Mr. Reddy from the BJP says this is not about jobs alone, then it's very clear that this is not about job. This is about a very, very dirty and filthy gimmick for the oncoming elections, because they have lost the 5 major states in the current very recently.
There is unanimous support from Congress.
Yes, you.
Why did the Congress come
out
along?
No, by the way,
the Congress also knows that
I have to wrap it before I go.
Why you don't have an answer?
Congress has accepted this and said,
Mr. Reddy, I just want to read out something to you. Please, before we go, Khushbu, 1 second. And Yogendra Yadav, this is for you also. 1 second. Khushbu, 1 second. Mr. Reddy, by the way, in the Lok Sabha yesterday, the statement of the objectives and reasons of the bill on the floor of the House clearly stated that a person whose family has a gross annual income of below 8 lakh rupees will be identified as a beneficiary. And under the bill, the family includes the person who seeks the benefit of reservation, has to be this, has to have this much land, etc. It is there on the floor of the House. Yes. It was released by the government on the day of the cabinet decision. It is there on the floor of the House. So can you please, when we do this program again, which we will, please, if you can ask somebody here what the logic for this was, that would be great. I have to leave it there tonight. Thank you to you all for joining us.